Now, a Jimmy Mathis exclusive, The Stone Zone, featuring Roger Stone, veteran of 30 years in politics and 9 presidential campaigns, including Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump. Here is Jimmy Mathis on WBAL News Radio 1090 and the WBAL app.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump. So, Mr. Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary debate.
I fully understand.
The place where the RNC will give the nominee the nod.
I fully understand.
And that experts say an independent run would almost certainly hand the race over to Democrats and likely another Clinton. You can't say tonight that you can make that pledge.
I cannot say. I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins.
Right now we are joined by Roger Stone, former Donald Trump top advisor. Mr. Stone, that was kind of the forget about it, easy lob question, and it seems like there is almost no support right now from the establishment anyway, including our governor here in the state of Maryland, Larry Hogan, that's getting behind Donald Trump. Not only not getting behind him, but Larry Hogan coming out saying that he will cast a vote in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, the entire clip, however, is a little outdated because, as you know, subsequent to that, Donald Trump and every candidate all co-signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, every one of them. And now a number of his opponents, who he vanquished in the nomination process, are reneging on that pledge. That says more about them than it does about Donald Trump.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make. I mean, you have Ted Cruz, you have Kasich, you have, I mean, Paul Ryan, for that matter, Mitch McConnell. It's what is going on right now? Because this seems totally unprecedented to me.
Well, I just think that this is a new structure of American politics. The two-party leaderships are in it together. The failed policies of the last 30 years, whether it's foreign policy or trade policy or immigration policy or fiscal policy, are the joint effort of the Republicans and the Democrats. So although Trump is the Republican nominee, this election is the Democrats and Republicans together versus Donald Trump and everyone else.
Well, he's not the nominee yet. And this is my other question to you. Is there a possibility that the Republicans try to strip this from him at the convention?
No, I just don't see where the votes come from. You've got a small handful of very loud, bitter enders, most of whom were for Ted Cruz, and they've never gotten comfortable with the fact that Trump won this nomination fair and square. But I just don't see them having the votes to really achieve this. Even in the press stories this week, if you read them with a practiced eye, they say dozens of delegates, dozens. Well, there's always over 2,000 delegates. Dozens isn't going to get you much. I really think that not having the support of the Republican establishment is not a negative; it's a positive.
It's more than that, Roger. It's more.
Might sue you over your attempts to close our borders as president. That's a plus, not a minus.
It's more than that, okay? And I'm not advocating this. All right, I believe that Trump should be the nominee at this point. I'm trying to just objectively look at this. I mean, if his favorability is at 30%, and he's having a difficult time raising money. And the reality is, the way the rules are structured right now, he doesn't have any guaranteed bound delegates going into Cleveland, and no support from any leadership at all. And the Larry Hogan thing is very symbolic of that, as is Mitch McConnell, Priebus, Paul Ryan. I mean, at some point, this stuff starts to stack up. I mean, is it totally... Look, from the very beginning, what has Donald Trump been saying? I mean, he foresaw all this, in my humble opinion, where when he's saying, treat me fairly, I think what is about to happen is exactly what he was talking about. And look, I mean, nothing surprises you in this election right now. Is it really beyond the realm of possibility that they tried to strip this nomination from him?
Well, try and succeed are two different things. There may be an effort, but I don't. Having gone over the vote counts, I just don't see it being successful. He's not going to be held up by the party establishment. The problem here is if he's not part of the club, As Newt Gingrich put it, he doesn't know the secret handshake and he's never had the initiation. He's not part of the Beltway crowd who brought us our current situation. He's a reformer, he's an outsider, and frankly, running against both the Republican and Democratic leadership, it's not a bad place to be for the general election.
No, but you still need $1 billion. He's having a hard time getting that.
That is an issue. He is either going to have to raise the money or write a check, one or the other. And that remains to be seen. But you can also see the mentality of the donors. Who gives money to a guy who's worth $10 billion?
Right. I'll give you that.
Who gave money to Ross Perot? Who gave money to Nelson Rockefeller? The answer is no one.
Yeah, but Ross Perot wasn't the presumptive nominee.
No, but it was the same phenomena. He was so wealthy that people didn't give him money. He supplied all of his own money. Also true of Nelson Rockefeller, another, mega rich political figure from the past.
You and I have talked in the past about possible VP picks, and Scott Donahue, who's been on this program many times, has thrown out Newt Gingrich. Just where we are right now with Donald Trump, who would want to dip their foot in that pool at this given time right now? Keep in mind we're 3 weeks away from the convention.
Yeah, well, as you know, my candidate was Larry Hogan, but that hasn't worked out very well. So I think that he is likely to pick either Gingrich or Senator Jeff Sessions or the possibility of Mary Fallin, the governor of Oklahoma. Those are all seem to me like real possibilities. But the only thing predictable about Donald Trump is that he's completely unpredictable. And therefore he could pull somebody out of his pocket that nobody is expecting. And that, if there's any suspense or news value at the convention, that would, of course, be it.
Well, he can pick whoever he wants, but the question right now is, would they accept?
Well, Jimmy, are you available?
Absolutely. I'll be on the bottom of that ticket any day of the week.
I don't think he'll have trouble getting a running mate at the end of the day. And if I had to make a off the wall prediction, I'd say Jeff Sessions. But that's just my personal view.
What are your thoughts on Larry Hogan coming out? Hogan in the past has been pretty neutral on Donald Trump. Definitely hasn't endorsed him, but also hasn't thrown him under the bus. And all that kind of changed over the last couple of days here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I presume this is probably good politics in Maryland, a very blue state. This is probably good politics for Larry Hogan. No electoral count that I have has Maryland in the Republican column, despite the fact that I do think Trump will do better in the Baltimore area and Baltimore suburbs than people think. But it's not even a red-leaning state, so I think this has more to do with state politics than it does with national politics.
When, just politically speaking, does the party get behind him? We fast forward a month, and let's assume that he's the nominee. We're past the convention. At what point do we get past these petulant games from the Speaker and the Leader of the Senate?
Well, at the juncture that the gavel comes down and he's declared the nominee would be a good start. But also I think the tone and message of the convention will be important and how he handles all of that. He's got to create a conducive atmosphere for some semblance of party unity. I don't expect us to, the Bushes and the Romneys are not going to be on board. I'm sorry, that's a plus. The Bushes are discredited in this country.
No, but
they're not held in high esteem. Ask Jeb how that worked out.
No, that's fine, Roger. But you do need the Speaker of the House and you do need the Leader of the Senate to get on board, and the Leader of the RNC at some point to jump on board. And
I think once he's the legal nominee, that will happen.
Pivoting over to the Democrats real quick, Bernie Sanders speaking to his supporters last week. I really thought that was going to be a concession speech by Bernie Sanders coming out. He had met with Hillary Clinton, saying he's in this through the convention, which he has said in the past. What's his endgame in all this?
Really unclear. I know that the Clinton people are still furious about the fact that he wants to have his name put in nomination and have various seconding speeches. They have a real concern that some of those seconding speeches could serve as an attack vehicle against Hillary Clinton. He's a loose end. I will be very, very disappointed in him if he lockstep gets on board for Hillary Clinton, because their views, particularly on Wall Street, on war and peace, on trade, are really antithetical to each other. And I will lose a lot of respect for Bernie if he just becomes another Democrat hack.
Roger, I don't put a whole lot of stake in polls, but there's no question Mr. Trump has taken a major hit over the last 2 weeks here. What do you contribute that to? Is it just that we're past the primary? Do you dismiss those numbers? I mean, something has definitely happened over the last 2 weeks, and it doesn't seem like anything's really changed as far as his rhetoric goes or remarks that he's made, but he's taken a massive hit over the last 2 weeks.
Well, I think the downdraft of his Mexican judge comments, which did not play well, is the central reason why he's taken a dip here. On the other hand, I think we're in the middle of the storm now. I do think the attacks in Orlando and his response to them and her response to them and the president's response to them turns out to be a net plus. So actually, I think had you taken this poll or looked at a poll just prior to Orlando, Trump would have been further down. I actually think he's on the comeback at this point.
Roger Stone, always a pleasure. The Stone Zone every Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Jimmy Mathis Show. Roger Stone, former Donald Trump top advisor, also author of The Clinton's War on Women and Jeb and the Bush Crime Family. Roger, I'll see you in Cleveland. Thank you very much, sir.
Look forward to it.
Appreciate it.